Right now, you probably know the exact time. You glanced at your phone this morning. Maybe you checked it 5 times in the last hour. You never even think about it. But strip away every clock, every phone, every ticking hand on a wall, and something strange happens. Your body still knows. It has always been known. And the story of how your ancestors first learned to read that hidden clock is far stranger than a sundial. Start with a simple question. How did someone 40,000 years ago know it was time to wake up? There was no alarm, no sun visible if they slept in a cave. And yet they stirred, right on schedule, morning after morning. Something inside them was counting. That something is called a circadian rhythm. Circadian just means about a day in Latin. It is a roughly 24-hour cycle running inside nearly every cell in your body, quietly telling your organs when to work and when to rest. You didn't invent it. You inherited it. And so did every human who ever lived before you. But here's where it gets strange. Scientists didn't just assume this clock was real, they tested it. In 1962, a French geologist named Michel Siffre climbed down into a glacier cave in the Alps and stayed there. Alone. No sunlight, no clocks, no way to know if it was noon or midnight. He wanted to see what his body would do without any outside cues at all. What happened? His internal clock kept running. Not perfectly. It drifted slightly longer than 24 hours each cycle. But it never stopped. He woke, he ate, he slept, all on a rhythm his brain generated entirely on its own, deep underground, with zero information from the outside world. Siffre had accidentally proven something extraordinary. The clock isn't learned. It's built in. Around the same time, a German scientist named Jürgen Aschoff was running a similar experiment above ground in a windowless bunker in Bavaria. He placed volunteers inside for weeks, cut off from daylight, and watched their sleep and body temperature cycles unfold. Aschoff found the same thing Siffre found in his cave. Left alone, the human body still ticks. Slightly slower than a day, but stubbornly, reliably, on rhythm. So if the clock is inside you already, why did ancient humans need the sun at all? Because the clock inside your body isn't perfect. It's close to 24 hours, but not exact. Left alone, it drifts. What keeps it locked precisely to the real day, sunrise after sunrise, is light. Your eyes contain cells that do almost nothing for vision, but everything for time. They sense brightness and send a signal straight to a cluster of neurons behind your eyes called the suprachiasmatic nucleus. Think of it as your body's master clock, and sunlight is what resets it every single morning, back to zero. This means your ancient ancestors weren't guessing when they read the sky. They were syncing. Every sunrise recalibrated a clock that was already running inside them. The sun didn't create their sense of time. It corrected it. But knowing roughly when to wake up is one thing. Dividing the day into hours, into units you could plan around, hunt around, gather around, that took something else entirely. This is where the archaeological record gets fascinating. Long before mechanical clocks, humans were already building instruments to slice the day into pieces. Shadow sticks pushed into the ground. Stone markers aligned to where the sun rose on specific days of the year. Some of the oldest large stone monuments on Earth, structures like Stonehenge in England, weren't just religious sites. Researchers studying archaeoastronomy, including work associated with scholars like Anthony Aveni, have shown these sites were calendars carved from rock, tracking solstices and equinoxes with a precision that still surprises people today. Think about what that means. Long before writing, long before agriculture had fully spread, humans were standing in open fields, watching shadows creep across stone, and using them to answer a question that mattered more than almost anything else. When? Because time wasn't abstract to your ancestors. It was survival. Knowing when the rains would come told you when to plant. Knowing when the herds migrated told you when to hunt. Knowing how many days remained until winter told you whether you would live to see spring. A calendar wasn't a convenience. It was the difference between a full stomach and starvation. And here's the twist that makes all of this land differently. You still carry both systems your ancestors relied on. The internal clock that ticks whether or not you're paying attention, and the external cues, sunlight most of all, that keep it locked in place. The only thing that's changed is what you use instead of the sun. Screens. Bright, blue-tinted light pouring out of your phone at 11 at night. Fluorescent bulbs replacing sunrise. Alarm clocks overriding the wake-up signal your body was already sending you, minutes or hours before it wanted to go off. Modern life didn't remove your ancient clock. It just started feeding it the wrong signals. That's why jet lag feels so disorienting. It isn't really about the hours on a schedule. It's your suprachiasmatic nucleus, that same master clock your ancestors relied on to sync with sunrise. Suddenly getting light cues from a time zone your body hasn't caught up to yet. You feel exhausted at 2 p.m. and wide awake at 3 a.m. because the oldest part of your biology is still trying to read a sun that isn't where it expects it to be. Even something as ordinary as staring at a screen before bed is, on some level, tricking a system your species spent hundreds of thousands of years calibrating to fire and starlight and dawn. Your body doesn't know the difference between a sunrise and a laptop screen. It just knows light means stay awake, and darkness means wind down. The instrument is ancient. The input has changed completely. So the next time you glance at a clock, remember what's actually happening underneath that number. You are running software written by evolution, tested for hundreds of thousands of years across freezing caves, shifting seasons, and unpredictable migrations. Michel Sifre proved it keeps ticking in total darkness. Jürgen Aschoff proved it drifts without daylight to correct it. And the builders of Stonehenge proved that humans were reading that rhythm against the sky long before anyone thought to put a number on it. You don't check the time because a machine told you to care about it. You check the time because somewhere in you, a clock that outlived ice ages is still counting, still waiting for the sun to tell it exactly where it stands. And it always will.